What's up guys, Frank here, and I am excited to show off a new bag that I just got in from LAPG. I took it out of the packaging, but I have not opened it. I wanted to wait to do this on a video, specifically because for the longest time, maybe 3 years now, I've been running the Rush 24 bag by 511. So I've loved this bag. It's a little big for like my daily backpack. I tend to use like a 12-hour or just like a like a much smaller backpack. I'm actually using one of the LAPG ones now, kind of testing it out a little bit. But I wanted something that was durable, something that I can use, and this I actually tend to use when I travel. If I'm going somewhere just for like a weekend, I want to shove everything I can in here and jump on a plane. But I was using it for work for a long time and everything like that. So I really like this bag. But it's about 140 bucks. I remember getting it on sale, being stoked that I got it for somewhere around like 120. I think it was like 112 plus shipping or something like that. But either way, so it's a nice bag. It's great. It's durable. It's held up. I mean, it still looks new. And I've been using it for about 3 years. And then this LAPG bag came out, and this one here is about 80 bucks, I think, maybe $85. So, for the money, we have to check this thing out. Somebody wanted one, so I ordered it for them, giving me an opportunity to kind of check it out. This is the color they wanted, otherwise I would have got something that was a little bit more like apples to apples, just so you can see. But yeah, that's about it. I haven't opened anything up on here yet, so we're just gonna switch camera angles and then kind of go over like a side-by-side with these and see if, is the 511 bag really worth paying almost double the price for what on paper seems to be the same bag. So, alright guys. Alright, so I tried to get a good enough angle here to get both bags side by side, but we might have to move some things around a little bit, or maybe even flip to show you guys everything. But this is the 511 bag and this is the LAPG bag. The first thing that you'll notice is the color differences, and again, this is just a different color in general. Somebody wanted gray, and then this is my double tap from 511, which is basically a really dark gray with black moly, which at the time I thought was cool. I still like it. It just looks a little more on the tactical side than I would prefer. Whereas you have the laser cut moly over here on the LAPG bag, which does make it a little bit less, screaming tactical, right? So I always go for, top pocket first. That wouldn't be this, right? I go top layer. So the first thing that we're going to look at here is, on the 511 bag, you've got a really, really big pouch. All right, you've got, all sorts of compartments here for, tools. For a while, like I was running like tape measures and all sorts of stuff because I was using it for work, right? Like a decent knife pocket. It's a really good admin pocket. I really like this thing. A good admin panel in here. All right, and then I used to always just kind of shove some snacks and emergency supplies and stuff in there. All right, so that is what it is. I think you do have a keychain somewhere in here. All right here, built-in keychain. All right, so it is what it is. Big pocket, tons of room. All right, well, let's take a look at the top pocket here from the LAPG bag. Again, I have never opened this, so let's see what we're working with. All right, I can tell you I like the zippers. The 511 zipper seems to open a little bit better, but this has never been opened, so that could be part of the problem. All right, what are we looking at here? Is relatively the same thing actually. So we've got our two pouches here, again for snacks and whatnot. You've got the same style, tool pouches here, pens, knife, keychains. I think you have one less pocket there, but I mean, all in all, like that's, it's perfectly fine. It's about the same. I would say that the material on the inside of the 511 bag, nope, it's just the back of the canvas actually, so it's not like an extra lining, although these are treated to be water resistant, which is you know, is big. This here feels like it does have a different, you know, a layer in between, which may aid in that. But it's also just kind of protecting the back, you know, panel of that laser cut moly in there. So, all right, pretty cool. One thing I did notice was this bag actually has an extra pocket here that the 511 bag does not. So let's take a look at that. And that's just, it's super small. I'd say, you know, you see that? Not much fits in there. Here's a cell phone to use for reference. I don't even think I could close my cell phone in there if I wanted to. So it's small, knife pouch, something like that. All right, but it's there. Cool, you have something. All right, now let's take a look here at the top pouch. Now, for reference, this is where I would throw like my AirPods, my wallet, sunglasses, you know, I'd throw stuff in here. So with this pocket here, in this particular bag is two separate pockets. You got one on this side and then one on this side. I don't know why they did it. I would have preferred personally like one big pocket because you can't quite fit anything like, you know, too big in there, right? So I would actually always throw like this pouch here. I'd keep like, you know, like a charging cable for my phone, and then I'd have like a backup, you know, battery for my phone here. And then I would throw again like my wallet or my keys or just, you know, anything quick reference, because it is one of those like soft, like felt lined or microfiber lined pockets. All right, so there's that. Now let's see what this one looks like here. Here we have one big pocket, it looks like. All right, and we do have some obvious like waterproofing panel here, which is nice. It is not soft lined on the inside. Let's see if you guys can see that there. Okay, so there's no, you know, microfiber lining. There's two individual pockets, basically similar to this, but using one main compartment instead, which I prefer. But you are missing out on maybe like a pouch or like a mesh net or something here that could have been helpful. So yeah, you know, I don't know. There's enough room in here maybe to compensate for that. If you had something like an electronics like pouch that you wanted to put in there, fine. So I'm not disappointed with the size there. It just would be nice for a couple extra features. So if we were keeping tally, I'd say that, you know, as of now, you know, it's probably an even trade-off for what you're getting right there. All right. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes here. All right, you've got the collapsible pull tabs here, which allows you to compress soft stuff like, you know, clothing and whatnot and make some extra room. Okay, which you can find on both. So it's about the same. Look, if I'm being honest, I think the buckles on the 511 might be a little bit better. Not enough that I think it's going to make a huge difference. Okay, so main compartment. Alrighty, so the main compartment here on this one is big. Alright, you've got, I don't know if you guys can see that here. Okay, so you've got a decent sized mesh opening here, a bigger one here, and then you actually have a non-mesh, more like a closed pouch down here. And for reference on what I used to use this for was I would keep like my laptop and mouse and everything like that. The power supply here. I'd keep my laptop back here. Now these panels again can fit a plate. Sorry, my angle's terrible. I'm trying to get both in at the same time makes it hard. All right, so you can definitely put a, you know, a plate in there, but my laptop usually went in there. All right, power supply and mouse and everything went in there, and then I would keep some basic first aid in here. And then this was kind of like a catch-all, would carry like, you know, an extra charger, extra whatever it is that I needed. Nothing crazy. All right, there's no, you know, internal side pockets. You do see this here, which I will go over when I get to that on the back side. All right, so that's your main compartment. Let's close this thing up. Again, I like the zippers. I like the mesh on the inside of there. Those mesh pockets make it usable. All right, so now here, this main pocket, if I can find the zippers, all right, down here. All right, we're looking very similar in style to a complete big open. All right, so that's what I was hoping to see, and I like it. So instead of the 3 pockets, we have 2 mesh pockets here. Okay, you have a smaller one up top, very similar to the 511 bag, and then you have a larger one in the middle. Again, very similar to that 511 bag. And then I'm seeing an extra zipper here in the middle. Let's figure out what this thing does. All right. Oh, it's just to get in either way, which makes sense because if you have it flipped open this way, you don't want your stuff maybe falling out. So it'll zipper from both sides, which is pretty cool. I like it. That's a neat feature. All right. Now what are we looking at inside here? Gosh, my angle again is terrible. Sorry, guys. I get distracted. All right. So, all right, nice and deep in here, no side pockets, similar to the 511, which is expected. However, I am seeing some microfiber lining on the inside. Not quite sure, trying to figure out like exactly what this is, how it works, but it looks like this pouch is going to be deep enough to maybe fit a laptop, bag, tablets. I would definitely say that the laptop pouch in there is definitely better on the 511, just, you know, just first glance looking at it. I am seeing, it looks like you can then run a hydration bladder through the back here, have it popping right out here, which is nice, and then coming down your shoulder strap. All right, so from what I can see in here, I would give maybe the laptop compartment edge here to the 511 bag, but I feel like there's more space and maybe more functionality if you're not using this to carry a laptop. You know, there's so many other things that can fit in here, which is nice. So cool, kudos to them for that. All right, and now what we noticed in both bags was this, from which you can see from the inside, which is basically like a sunglass pouch, is kind of like how I've always looked at it. It's microfiber lined, this way you can throw some glasses in there that wouldn't get scratched. Again, you're gonna have that on both bags. They both tend to be on the back by the shoulders. Cool. They're the same, about the same size opening, about the same size, you know, depth. So pretty cool. One thing here that you'll notice is that both of the sides in the 511 bag have a side zipper deep enough to fit something like a water bottle. I usually keep like a water bottle in one, couple extra mags in the other. Always had some space, and then, you know, you'll have your molly on the side. So let's see what we got going on here. All right, the side molly here is the laser cut molly, which is again nice. It's less tactical. Your side pocket feels roughly about the same. A water bottle, a couple mags will fit in there. So that's cool. I'm gonna double check to make sure that this side is also similar. It is. There's nothing fancy or different or anything about that side. All right, which now leads us to the back. All right. What you'll notice here at first glance, it might be hard to see on the camera, but the 511 has more like a nylon water resistant type of a finish. My guess is, you know, to aid in repelling sweat, whereas the LAPG has more of a you know, that breathable mesh there, which is probably, you know, to each their own would be my guess. Overall, the durability feel of the backs, I would probably lean towards the 511, but I would say that the LAPG has more padding. So it's more padding, but in the middle, you know, it kind of feels a little bit more solid here. But it seems very, very comparable. All right. Now, if we look at these straps real quick, all right, what I like, I think I've mentioned it in other bags before. Like, I like that kind of a U-shaped padding. It gives it a little bit more cushion on the neck. And this one has it as well, although not as thick as the 511 padding. I'm noticing a couple extra buckles up here, which I'm not 100% sure. I have to look kind of at the features to see what these are for, but obviously usable. I'm seeing more, oh no, these buckles are for the collapsible side. All right, so pretty cool. They both have, you know, that extra shoulder strap. All right. Now, I can't remember, to be honest with you, if my 511 bag had a buckle and I took it off, or if they just add it here, you know, so that you can buckle it if you want, you know, that waist strap. This one does have it included, but also looks like you can take it off here, right? You'd be able to take these off, which I tend to do because I'm not using these for like heavyweight, you know, hiking or anything like that. But you could do that and then just, you know, put it in the backpack. So if you needed access to it, you'd have it. All right, actually, let's open this up again. So here is where your hydration bladder would go. I've always felt like this is where I would put a plate as well, so that I can utilize both a plate and a laptop on the inside. But your hydration bladder is gonna go here, and you can see there's like this thicker plastic that's probably gonna add to, you know, shaping the bag. All right, but a hydration bladder can go there, or honestly a laptop. It is deep enough that if this is where you wanted to store your laptop, you can go ahead and put your laptop in there. It's padded, it's protected. I think it would be just fine. But I do believe that that is where your hydration bladder is supposed to go, because you do have an opening that brings you right out here. So, all right, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You know, this one here is, I would say, not big enough for a laptop. Definitely designed specifically for a hydration bladder. You might be able to fit a plate in there. I don't think it fits obviously in here, but I think you can get a plate in here if you wanted to. And then again, leaving you the internal pocket. You know, there's a lot you can do with that. Okay, so overview on just the bag itself. All right, your cut on the 511 bag tends to come a little bit more narrow as you come up here, so kind of tends to taper, and I would say is probably more of like a traditional backpack style, whereas the LAPG tends to be a little bit boxier, you know, so it tends to be about the same width all the way down, which is fine. It's preference. You know, as far as branding and stuff goes, you have a 511 rubber pad here in black, which makes it, you know, not too noticeable, a little bit more on the discreet side, whereas the LAPG has an LAPG pouch or patch right there. Is that a deal breaker, like, by any means? I really don't think so, because this bag already kind of screams a little bit more tactical than this bag does. As far as your hook and loop paneling, you know, you've got one right here designed for just one patch, and then you've got a little strip up here designed for maybe like a name tag. And then on the LAPG, you've got the similar one up here for a name tag. And then you have a bigger panel, which actually covers this length here for your patches. I might actually even grab a patch and see. All right, so here's a patch, just so you guys can kind of see in perspective. I should have probably grabbed a different color than black, but you know, American flag patch fits perfectly fine there. It actually holds well, nice. Let's check here. I would say it doesn't hold as well, kind of what I thought. They tend to use a different style of loop paneling. It's fine. Actually went on better when I kind of put a little more pressure on it, but I mean, realistically, probably not going anywhere. Would have to get caught and yanked on something. So I like it. It works. You know, with that being said, I mean, time would really only tell the difference between these two. But let's kind of go over a few things that I've noticed. Right, just from going over it here. I would say that stitching and material cut is better on the 511. I'm not even gonna say probably, right? Because I don't see any sort of like excess material sticking out. Whereas like, you know, right here, I'm seeing some excess material that could have been tucked and sewn better. And I'm not seeing like a double stitch here, whereas this is double stitched all the way around. Now, I'm not gonna knock this for that because it is double stitched around the zipper compartments where it should be. I'm just saying that it seems like it is double stitched everywhere on the 511 bag, which is a nice feature, right? Now, something else that you're gonna get with the 511 bag that you're not gonna get with the LAPG bag is this hidden pocket here, which has a loop panel for a holster. So when I'm traveling where I can have a firearm, but I possibly don't want it on me, or I want to just carry a backup, that goes right in here. Again, adding to the weight of the bag and reducing some of your internal space, primarily in this pouch here. But what it does is prevent you from having to just put your firearm in a different pouch or you know somewhere else. So it is nice, and it also allows you to be able to open this up without showing off your firearm, because you can just say, look, grab my pen from right in here, whereas this might be where you keep your firearm in the LAPG bag. So all in all, I would say that, you know, I think the quality of the nylon is probably, I'm not going to say that this is like a 10 out of 10, but if we're scaling and this is like the higher end one, I would say this is a 10, this is a 9, in that it feels really close to the same thickness and density. And it very well could be, but this feels a little bit more durable. But again, it's not a 6 or a 5. It's also, you know, I'd say it's a 9. So there's that. All right, so basically what we're looking at here is, do you want to pay double the price for the 511 bag over the LAPG bag? And look, I think if you're ultra bougie and you want to walk around saying I've got 511 gear, which, you know, I kind of went through that phase for a little while. But, you know, if you want to say that and show that, then cool. These rush bags are awesome. And if you can get them on sale, by all means, do so. But if you really don't care, I think that this 24-hour bag by LAPG is more than enough to do the job. In fact, I find that it's tremendous value, because if you're looking at this as a $140 bag and this is maybe an $80 bag, I mean, even at $120, it has very, very similar features and is cheaper, right? So keep that in mind, and just know that you're not going to get like that CCW pocket, which is cool, I like, but you are getting a very durable, you know, probably equally durable bag here for a lot less money, and I like it. So you do have my stamp of approval on it. I do like it. I'm actually going to get myself the 12-hour bag because I want to see. I'm using their Stealth bag right now, the Stealth backpack, as my like kind of daily backpack, and I love it, and it's fine, and it does the trick. I tend to just I weigh it down a little bit, and I feel like something of this density, this thickness and material is probably a little bit better for what I do because I'm kind of rough on it. However, I don't have issues with my Stealth bag, and I'll probably do a follow-up if I switch them at some point. I just think that size-wise, 24-hour bag is a little much to be using as a daily backpack. Again, this is more like I'm leaving for a couple days, I'm leaving for a day, and it's an accessory backpack versus like, carrying my stuff around on the daily basis. I don't have enough stuff that I want to carry around on a daily basis to fill this thing up, so I don't find it worth it. But if I was going to a trade show or something like that for the weekend and I wanted to be able to carry my laptop, maybe an extra shirt, a couple extra things in here, you're definitely going to be able to do that with this bag. Both bags, because they're both about the same size. But, all right, so we've gone on long enough. I appreciate you guys for sticking with me. And if you have questions about either of these bags, feel free to ask. We do distribute for LAPG. We can get 511. So there's no bias here. We paid for this with our own money. As far as, my customer wanted this bag. Nothing was given to us or anything like that. So for the value, I really do think that it's worth it, and I think that it's a decent bag, and only time will tell. So take care, guys. Bye.